China is now Nike's second biggest market after the United States in terms of revenue. And Angela became the general manager in 2015. So you're 2 years on the job now, running the second biggest market in the world for Nike. That's darn impressive. And Angela, I know you have a goal of $6.5 billion in revenue in 2020. How are you coming along?
That's a very nice first question. We are proud of where we are today and all the things we have achieved to date. For the last 4 quarters, cumulatively, we get to $4 billion. So I would say in full confidence, we stay the curve. But like our CEO, Mark Parker, always says, we don't focus on the gap between us and our competition. We focus on the gap between us and our potential. And I think our success is guaranteed by the relentless innovation pipelines we have and the extremely powerful portfolios we have across all the categories or dimensions and concepts. And of course, the deep connections we have with our consumers, be it the most elite athletes or to our everyday consumers. So we are confident, but we are not complacent. We know the competition is very intense in the marketplace. There's so much
Adidas,
excitement.
Which has, what, about $3 billion in revenue in China? Roughly. And Under Armour is very small, correct? I mean, what, around 100 million or so?
They just got started, I think. I don't know.
Well, they just got started a few years ago in the United States, and now they're really big. So watch out for Under Armour.
Totally.
And it's very interesting. If you look at I was looking at the stock prices of some of the local brands in China, like Anta, Wisdom, Peak Sports. I did not know these companies, but they're public companies. You probably know them. Stocks aren't doing so well. So good for you. I mean, you would be the envy, Angela, I would think, of many of your colleagues who are, basically fighting for share in slow-growing markets, and you're certainly fighting for share, but the opportunity in China. Just talk a little bit about the size and the expected growth of the sports and fitness market in China.
So I think we have a unique opportunity in China. Our corporate mission is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. But what's unique about China is its unprecedented speed and scale. Firstly, we have a market with the largest consumer base we have ever served, with over 1 billion old people. And as China continues its journey of shifting from manufacturing-led to consumption-led, we are seeing a massive increase of more affluent and urbanized consumer landscape. And more than 50% of this consumer will evolve accelerate into middle class in just the next couple of years. So it's interesting to think about to bring inspiration and innovation to over 1 billion people. That task sounds really hard. But we are organized ourselves by the sports, which we call category offense, where we align our teams to runnings, trainings, basketball, footballs, to authentically connect with our consumers through the sports they love.
And what's your biggest category?
I would say it's lifestyle.
Okay,
Yeah,
which includes running?
It's sports-inspired lifestyle.
Sports-inspired lifestyle.
Yeah.
The sports market, tell me if I'm wrong on these figures, the Chinese sports industry is 0.7% of GDP versus, this number surprises me. The sports and fitness industry is 3% of GDP in the United States, which I find to be larger than I would expect. Now, the goal, one thing you have going for you is you have the Chinese government really wanting Nike to grow. And the goal of the Chinese government by 2020 is to make that 0.7% of GDP, what?
That means basically 8x of the big, broader sports industry in next couple of years.
So yeah, by 2020 to multiply 8 times that. So you have several factors working in your favor. Okay, you have you have a government that wants you to grow, and in the last couple of years, last year you launched a very interesting program with the government to get, we had in the United States, Michelle Obama, our former First Lady, launched a campaign called Let's Move to get kids involved in sports and fitness. Now, you have your own similar program. Talk about that.
Great. We launched a program called Active School Programs, where we publicly announced our commitment to get 2 million kids active across the entire China. So in the next 3 years, we will partner with China Ministry of Education to transform the cultural sports and to also transform the physical activity in school. In these programs, we will train up to 7,000 of coaches and teachers. And
so you're training, you have people at Nike training these coaches?
Indeed. Yeah, and we'll also introduce the best-in-class international coaches to bring the best-in-class latest training materials to these teachers. And we will also work very closely with school leagues to build and to elevate the school games and inter-school games for kids.
And then, of course, we have in 2022, the Olympics coming on, where all these kids are going to be even better prepared to get gold medals. And then, the kids market is, I would think, very intriguing right now because you have the relaxation of the one-child policy, and I would think that would lead to greater growth than even expected in the kids market, but I've been reading that it's not really, the gains have been fairly minuscule in birth rates in China. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that what you're seeing?
I think for kids, our first and foremost priority is to believe in the power of sports, of helping kids to unleash their full potential. What we are dedicating to do now is to develop their early interest into sports, and enjoy the fun of it, and gradually build a habit that's gonna benefit them for their lifetime. So
what about, do you look at the one-child policy though, and the changes that are in motion now regarding that? Is that significant to you in terms of the potential of this future children's market, or is it not that significant?
I believe it will, because it will be a huge implication to future family household structures, as well as the dynamics between the families. Okay. But each generation will be so different. We need to stay really closely to our new generation of kids who are gonna be a completely different generations. Or just take the millennials, for example. 85% of the millennials grow up with a smartphone. They are really mobile native. Their expectation of mobiles are extremely high. And those are the generations who demand everything to be personalized, connected, and seamless. So we can continue to pulse check all the insights from our consumer and to try to understand what is their real needs.
So the demand for Nike to become ever more a technology company is just going to grow in the future as those kids require more technology in their shoes, correct?
Yeah.
Who has a question? Yes, and wait for the mic, please.
I'm a fashion designer. I'm working on my own couture line. I'm a couture designer. I have just noticed that Nike just had this cooperation with Dior, right? People always ask me, okay, couture is only working, like serving a very small group of people. But my goal in the long term is to use my design for everyone. What is the notion behind the cooperation between Nike and Dior? Does that mean fashion and artistic direction is next for Nike? Can you explain that to us? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think we are seeing one awesome dynamics, that is sports is transcending. Sports and the style has never been so close together. And I think our consumers, they want the sports or innovations that's style right. Just like they want style that has real innovations. So this is the insights we're baking into our design strategies. We will put relentless effort in our innovation pipeline. In the meantime, constantly update our design, refresh our design based on the latest insights. So I do think these two things work perfectly together.
Yes?
Hi, I'm fascinated to know that your forecast of the sports market will be 8 times bigger in coming years, if by market forecast. And I want to get your view on talent for Nike at this moment. Do you generally feel that it's harder to get good or outstanding talent in the premium setting, or do you think it's generally harder to get talent really good local at the operational level in the scale setting? It's just a general question, but I want to understand some of the talent strategy and your framework looking in China with a very established brand, Nike, and going another milestone.
That's an awesome question. Talent is definitely top on our list. My personal philosophy is we always build a diverse talent team for this market. My goal for my own team, leadership team, is to build an international team that is in China for China, but beyond China for the globe. Our leadership team, the 20 people, was coming from 10 different countries and regions, but they are all immersed in China. And this is my insist. You go to the market, you talk to real consumers, you understand how retail really operates. So that's the key. But I think when this team come together, we bring a diverse, disparate minds together. The intersection of different perspectives and ideas is really some creative, new ideas came out. And I do think that's the strategy we're going to apply to a broader team. As a matter of fact, I think we just talk about our millennials. They are anywhere between 16 to 30 years old. And they are the generations, actually, they have their knowledge of digital or consumer demand is something I constantly listen to on a regular basis. Just come here, listen to these young folks, what they have to say. I do believe we have an abundant supply of talents in the market.
Angela, before we close, I want to touch on something that is fascinating to me about you personally. You grew up in Shanghai, and you told me that you never heard of Nike until you went to university. How were you so sheltered? Tell the group about your family.
I grew up from a very philosophical household. Both my parents majored in philosophy, so academic achievement is the number one things in my family. So I never had a chance to engage into sports. I never heard about it. But I think particularly influenced by my father. Was very interested in wartime stories and heroes, especially books like The Art of War. And from where I know all the strategies, wisdoms of attacking something. And when I first got introduced to Nike through a sports, actually it's my coach at college. And
Coach in what sport?
Running.
Oh, so you actually did become a sportswoman then in college.
I had no idea I can't do that, but he introduced running and he introduced Nike to me. So what a wonderful things. And I fall in love with the tagline of JDI immediately. That's everything I want to do for my own life.
Angela went to P&G and then to Coca-Cola before she landed at Nike in finance. She was CFO before she became general manager, so now you have bottom line experience, and it's a very big bottom line, and congratulations and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, everyone.